Hey there, Alperhax, and welcome to this video on how to avoid being controlled. I sent an email out yesterday about how to avoid being controlled, and I talked about who wants to be controlled as they get older, and that it's part and parcel for what's going on in the world today. We are being manipulated and controlled like never before. Starting with this COVID virus hoax. And I say it's a hoax not because the virus is a hoax. Obviously, the virus is dangerous, but they're going to find that it's probably no more dangerous than the normal flu season. Now, you can make arguments that if we didn't close down that it would be far worse, but that the data doesn't prove that out. And so what the governments of the world have done is, in the way I view it, and hopefully I'm wrong, is they wanted to get control of you. Because it's a test to see if they can get control of you for this thing. What can they do next, right? Now, I know that sounds a little dark and mysterious, but what other answer can you come with? And then everybody jumped on it. It was the lemming syndrome, if you know what a lemming is. If you don't know what a lemming is, look it up online. Lemmings are animals that follow each other over the cliff, and they basically all commit suicide at the same time. And that's essentially what we're doing in this situation the way it is. And so how do you avoid being controlled? It's one of the hardest things in the world. Even though I practice mind force and chi manipulation and all these things, it's hard for me not to be also somewhat controlled. When this first started, I looked at it as, okay, it is what it is. But then I started mentally being manipulated by the news. And literally had a conversation with my wife that said, hey, if this is the end of the road, we've had a pretty good life. Literally saying that, articulating that, and actually voicing that. Terrible, right? I mean, when you think about it, that's crazy. And again, that goes into the mind, and it bounces back and forth until I had to wake myself up out of that serious situation. So that's the COVID-19. Now you've got these rioters and protesters. And again, protesting is great if it's done for the right reason and that it doesn't hurt somebody else or affect their property and whatnot. I mean, for anybody that could say that this is a good thing is totally crazy, right? It's as if you and I had an argument and you decided, I don't like Al's opinion, his point of view, and so you go and you trash my house or you beat me up, right? You cause violence to me, right? Same thing. And again, it's a control factor. And you've got these two factors, one on this side, one on that side, and everyone else is in the middle because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They're being manipulated. You are being manipulated by all these factors, and you're being hit one at a time. How do you stay out of the fray? Number one, you got to stay out of the fray by not getting involved in the conversation. I know it's hard not to, but I avoid a lot of this coronavirus talk with my kids. I avoid a lot of this, the riot talk with my kids. We just don't get in it. We talk about other things that are a lot more useful than these things, okay? So how do you avoid being controlled? You've got to gain control of your mind, listen to this, on a daily basis. It's not a one-time thing. Okay, this is what I've been preaching to people about for years, is that using Mind Force Quantum Qigong and the exercises, techniques, and concepts that I teach is not you do it for a week or a month or even a year. It becomes part of your lifestyle, just like eating, just like sleeping. Okay, you wouldn't just say, I'm not going to eat anymore. You know that wouldn't go very well for be a certain amount of time, and then you couldn't sustain yourself. Right? Just like breathing, right? You can't stop breathing. You can't stop drinking water. And in the morning, I drink my coffee. Now, this is one of my favorite mugs. It's my Superman mug. But the fact of the matter is, you've got to learn how to control your mind. You're going to do that through subliminal suggestion for yourself. And then once you become more in control yourself, then you can become more control of others, right? So that's the control factor. Now, how do you control the aging and how do you control getting old? Well, obviously, we're all getting older. Let's face it. That's a biological process that you really can't avoid, right? You can't avoid getting old. But what you can do is you can avoid getting older before it's time, right? Now, I always say I'm 56 as of this recording, okay? I don't know what 56 feels like, but I've never put a number on it. But I will tell you this, that when I go with people that are my age sometimes, they make statements that are contrary to what somebody that wants to feel younger. Like, when you get my age, as I get older, my body starts breaking down, and I can't do what I could do when I was 30. I don't have what I used to have. I'm on more medication. These are things I hear from people that are friends, colleagues of mine. Wait till you get to my age. I remember a guy said that to me not that long ago, maybe a couple years ago. We were in an office doing a project, and he says, wait till you get to my age. You'll really start to feel it. And I said, well, what age is that? And he said, well, I'll be 44 this year. And I think at the time I was 51 or 52. I don't know, maybe 53. Right? And he says, oh my God, you're actually older than me. He goes, I can't believe that. You look so much younger, right? And I'm telling these stories because this is my mindset, right? Now, obviously, there's some genetics involved, no question about it. But my mindset is of a young person, not as an old person. You're never going to hear me say, now, of course, I kind of tongue-in-cheek use the handle in this email, Old Man Al. Obviously, it's kind of it's a tongue-in-cheek type of thing, so don't think that I refer to myself as that. Here's the other thing. I would never let my wife refer to me as the old man, and I would never refer to my wife as my old lady or I would never do that because we're both very young-minded. There's no reason to do that. And when you do these little things to yourself, you lose control little by little by little. When you expect that you should be on medication because you're in your 40s or 50s, that's not correct, right? You go to people, first of all, people go to the doctor way too much. And I love doctors when they solve a problem, but oftentimes people go to the doctor when they don't need to. I have 4 kids. Oldest is 35, and then 31, 30, and 24, 25. So here's the deal. They've probably never been to the doctor more than 10 times. That's this. In their entire life. It's probably closer to this. Now, does that mean that I don't believe in doctors? No. But again, it's a mental framework that if every time you get sick, you run to the doctor, what good is that? Now, when this coronavirus started, I started getting a sore throat. So what most people would do is say, oh my God, I got a sore throat. I got to go to the doctor. I got to be tested. I got to see if I got this thing. That wasn't my attitude at all. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I wasn't thinking maybe something's up. But the fact of the matter is, I said, hey, and I told my wife, I said, hey, if it gets really bad and I can't breathe, take me to the hospital, right? It's common sense. But our body has the ability to heal itself. Our body has the ability to be more youthful, even wherever you're at. And as you see me do this from time to time, it's pulling the energy down. And my body is like a piece of clay, both internally and externally, and I control it, okay? Nobody else controls it except for me. I have to give you permission to control me. Now, that's a very important thing to understand because it's true no matter what, is that when you're being manipulated, you are actually allowing somebody to manipulate you. A perfect case, and again, this is another thing you can look up, is if you go back to when there were prisoners of war, and that could be Vietnam, Korea, World War II, whatever, there were some soldiers that were captured, and obviously the enemy wants to derive and get information from them. There were some soldiers that broke immediately because they did not want to go through torture or whatever. And then there were other soldiers that went through an immense amount of torture and despair, and some of them even died without giving up any information. Now, what's the difference between those two people put in the same situation? It's the mental strength, okay? And that's really what you have to strive for, is to get into the mental strength so you're less controlled than ever before. You have to make that decision, and you have to build up, you have to gird yourself up with power. with energy, vital energy, chi, whatever you want to call it. And then what you've also got to do is you've got to gird your mind to combat all of this stuff. Because if you think this is the last time you're going to be manipulated or try to be controlled, you're absolutely wrong, because it's the tip of the iceberg. And if you want to be ahead of the game, you need to start getting in control. I speak to people on a weekly basis, and one of the biggest things I hear is, I don't feel like I'm in control. Well, number one, the way you can get in control is you get in control of your finances. And that is, when a situation like this hits, you need to have more money, right? So you should be putting money away. This is the rainy day, right? You got to put money away for the rainy day. So if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, you can still do that. I can still do that, and I need to do that more as well. But what I'm saying is, you've got to have a game plan always. You wake up in the morning and you've got a game plan. As I mentioned on the other videos, when you join the Inner Circle, you can get access to a program that I'm going to be launching, which is called You version 2.0. And part of that program is what I call 5 to Thrive. Those are the 5 things that I do every day. I have a checklist, 5 things. Now it's broken down into multiple areas: diet, physical exercise, mental training, spiritual training, which I call, that's primarily my chi energy training, and then the last piece is, let's see what is. So let me go to my list here. I've got it right here. I've got it on my phone so that I know. So I've got diet. Oh, business. Business is the last one. So I know what I need to do in business every single day. And when I don't think you can see it on here, but when I check it off, it lets me know that I've accomplished a day. And I know that these factors are going to allow me to get better and better and better. And so I look at my phone and I go, okay, I did this, 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 and this. Now, if I look at my phone and I didn't do this, I have to make a conscious decision if I'm going to go ahead and make that happen. And I wanted to give you this short video on this factor: mind, body, right? Ultimately, your spirit. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and you can tell yourself, I'm getting and feeling younger every single day. I feel great. My body is conforming to what I want it to do. And if you're overweight, you ask your body to conform to what you want to do. We all can be in better shape, right? There's like this. So on this side of the spectrum is somebody that's totally out of shape, right? And I don't know what that means for you or for anybody you know, but that could be 100 pounds, could be 50, whatever. For me, it's like 10 or 20 pounds. Once I get in that zone, I need to keep coming back this way. Then you've got the extreme on this side, which is somebody who is so good in shape, but it's almost a mental illness, right? You see women, as they get into their 40s or 50s, they become extremists in terms of getting in shape. Same thing with men. And again, it's an extremist attitude to be in extreme shape. I used to be a bodybuilder, so I know the extremist attitude that you need in order to be in optimal shape. And this is where I strive to be, is in the middle, right? I don't need to be far over this way where I'm totally out of shape. And I don't necessarily need to have a 6-pack of abs, right? If there was a reason for me to do that, I would do it. But this is where I want to be. This is where you want to be. And I think that's the moderation that people talk about in life, right? It's not all about, you don't have to be the wealthiest guy in the world. You don't have to be the poorest, right? You want to be in the middle of where you want to be. Well, that's the same thing with the control factor. You've got to understand that. So I hope this information has helped you. And listen, regardless of whether you use my methods or not, that's beyond the scope of this video. What is in the scope of this video is you need to take action today. And if that means getting up and doing 5 minutes of exercise, doing 2 minutes of exercise, doing 1 push-up, 1 sit-up, walk around your house, walk around your block, do something, read a book. Part of my routine is reading a part of a book every single day, a book that is going to enrich me. You want to get good, you have to immerse yourself in the process of becoming your own controller. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day. So long.